Listen up, because in the next few minutes, what I'm going to share with you could save you potentially years of misery or an early end to your DJ career. Hey there, I'm Robert with LearningDJ.com, and today we're going to be talking about one of the most crucial yet underlooked topics in DJing, hearing protection. Did you know that DJs and musicians are 4 times more likely to develop hearing loss than the average person? It's not just a scary stat. I've actually lived this experience myself. I'm going to share with you some of the science of how sound damages our hearing, some of the frequencies that we want to be careful and watch out for when we're in the clubs, and my own journey developing tinnitus going through the clubbing scene. Finally, I'm going to give you some practical tips and advice on what kind of hearing protection you should look at and embrace when you're going out to the clubs, either in the booth or on the dance floor. How exactly is it that sound actually hurts our ears? Well, it all comes down to this idea of decibels. The average conversation happens around 60 decibels, which is completely harmless. But when we get to talking places like clubs, DJ booths, and festivals, the decibel level increases to somewhere between 100 to 120 decibel. In these types of environments, your ears can start developing damage within at least 15 minutes of exposure. Think about that for a second. A single set could leave you with potentially permanent hearing loss or constant ringing in your ear for just one evening out. And actually, what can happen as a response to loud noises over a certain amount of time is that our ears can actually turn the volume down, which causes sometimes DJs and venues to intentionally plan to increase the decibel level and volume over time as a way to compensate. As DJs DJing electronic music, we are potentially exposed to very harsh and high frequencies such as hi-hats, snares, synths, and melodic elements between the 2000 to 6000 hertz range. Studies show that with exposure to these loud environments and these frequencies, hearing loss can develop as early as 30 to 40. For DJs, hearing is like a painter's paintbrush. Without the tools, we can't perform our job. But here's the good news. Once you know, you can protect yourselves. So we're going to cover some of the ways that you can actually go about protecting your hearing in the club or on the dance floor. Let me tell you why this topic is so important to me. And it's a lesson that I remember every time I step into a club or a DJ booth. It was a regular night out at one of my favorite clubs, and I didn't have any hearing protection because, well, I didn't think I needed it. The vibe was great, and I was really early on into my clubbing days. Then, just like you see in all of the crazy promotional videos, one of those CO2 cannons went off right above my head during a big drop. The sound hit me like a freight train, and it wasn't just loud. It was a feeling like my entire head was banging. At first, I thought this was just part of the experience, being early on in my clubbing days, but as soon as I left the club, I knew that something was wrong. My ears were ringing with a high-pitched tone that just would not relent. And this process went on for almost 2 weeks before the high-pitched, harsh sound subsided. And while I was relieved that the volume of the tone wasn't so loud, it never quite went away. This particular phenomenon is known as tinnitus, and it can occur when your hearing becomes so damaged that your brain starts signaling phantom sounds that aren't there. This problem has plagued musicians, performers, and DJs for years and years and years, and it's something that is not talked about frequently enough. After that evening, I started realizing how clubs, festivals, and DJing would continue to amplify and make this problem worse for me. And that's when I started to care a lot about hearing protection. At minimum, wherever I go, no matter what, I'm bringing some kind of hearing protection to ensure that I'm keeping my ears safe and I'm avoiding developing worse hearing loss than I've already acquired. The majority of hearing protection worn at clubs and venues today is known as high-fidelity earplugs. Unlike your regular everyday foam earplugs, which can severely muffle the high and low ends of music while out in the club, high-fidelity earplugs work by decreasing the decibel levels of the most harsh and harmful sounds so that we can have hearing protection while still maintaining an enjoyable experience. For DJs, it can actually be instrumental because we need to be able to hear those very nuanced hi-hats, claps, snares in order to be able to beat match and work our way through a mix. I'm going to share with you 3 different options in 3 different budgets for how you can go about protecting your ears within these different types of environments. Starting off with the lower end of the budget for earplugs, it's Etymotic's research earplugs. The reason I really love these is because they actually started off really early in this area and market of trying to develop high fidelity earplugs. They come in around maybe $20 to $30. They come with a carrying case, and usually they're reusable and good for about 6 months before you potentially want to replace the tips. For me, the biggest tip that I have is taking these high fidelity earplugs and putting them on something like your keychain so that no matter where you go, you always have a pair and you're never going to be without your hearing protection if you find yourself in a club without having planned to be there. The next option available is probably a little bit more well-known of a consumer brand, and it's the Loops earbuds. Now, these are a newer brand that's come up, but they've become very popular due to their aesthetics and style. I see a lot of people out at clubs wearing this. I see a lot of people at festivals wearing this, and it usually comes anywhere from 12 to 20 decibels in total reduction, which can be sufficient depending on how loud the environment you're in is. Having used both etymonic and the loops, I would say I probably prefer the etymonics just from a value perspective, whereas the loops, I think if you care a little bit more about the aesthetics, is potentially why you're going to pay a little bit higher of a premium. Finally, there is the gold standard of custom-made earplugs. Now, typically you're going to something like an audiologist to have them take an injection mold of your ear in order to create a custom fit earplug for just your ear. These can range anywhere from 150 US to 250 US dollars, but I really think that they're valuable because you'll have them for a very long time. They're custom fits, you know that they're always going to be comfortable and you can wear them for long periods of time. Depending on where you live, you might actually be able to take this as a deduction against any income that you earn from DJing, but definitely something you want to check with your accountant on. If you're wondering which option to choose, here's my advice. Start with something like an etymonic research-based earplugs. The value is great. You're going to get some protection versus no protection. It'll give you a chance to start actually mixing with high fidelity earplugs while you're in the club in the DJ booth. If they're within your budget and you feel like you want to level up, you can definitely go for a pair of custom injection molded earplugs. I think they're worth every penny, given that you only have 2 ears and they only last you as long as you live. Regardless of which option you choose, the key is consistency. Making sure that you're bringing your hearing protection wherever you go. Even the most basic hearing protection is worth way more than no protection whatsoever. And your ears will thank you so much. Before I wrap up here, I'm just going to leave you with one final thought. If you love music and you love DJing, you can't do any of those things without your ears, without your hearing. Without it, you lose the crispness of hi-hats, the slam of claps, and the pounding of the kick drum that gets you going and gets you dancing on the dance floor. So please do yourself a favor and get yourself some hearing protection. And while you're at it, tell a friend. You might be able to save them years of regret and pain by just a simple small nudge. If you found this video helpful, drop a like and a comment and share with somebody who you think needs to hear this. If you're into tips, stories, and ways to level up as a DJ with various resources, check out learningtodj.com and subscribe to this channel. We come out with new videos all the time. Here's to keeping the music alive and well and your ears healthy and functioning properly for years and years to come.